Hello and welcome back to Best Bets. What is going on? I am Matt O'Leary, joined as always by Newsday's NFL pick columnist Joe Manniello. Joe, how are you?
Doing good, Matt. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. Doing pretty good. Last week, obviously, we had the game of the week with the Bills and the Bengals, so we're not going to count that. Obviously, that game was put on hold by the NFL for important reasons. So 1-4 for you last week, 48-50-4, 2-3 for me, 50-50-2, heading into the final regular season. You were saying before, the pick fatigue is starting to set in a little bit, but we got to get through the regular season here.
Another awful week for me, but doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things.
It happens. So let's hop into the locals as we always do first. Jets and Dolphins. Everyone thought this game might mean something, a winning in. Unfortunately, that's not what it is. Jets now slight favorites in this one. Jets -1. Who do you like?
Yeah, the Jets won last week. This might have been the Sunday night game, right? Might have been winner take all. I'm sure they still want Green Bay, but Jets -1, right? I mean, to me, the Jets, that's been the spread, I think, the last month, right? Lions, Jags. Seahawks, like Jets -1 every week. It's like Vegas doesn't know what to do anymore. But I was looking back at it. I was writing my column last night, and I went back. And you're not going to believe this. I picked the Jets every single week this year, except for 1 week, week 5 against the Dolphins.
Wow.
And I'm going to go with the Dolphins again here. I know they're going to be starting the third-string quarterback, Skylar Thompson. I think that's his name. I'm not even 100% sure. And he played most of the game when Teddy Bridgewater got hurt in the first. Got knocked out in the first play back at MetLife in week 5. And, I could totally see the Jets winning this game. Leave it to the Jets. They lose 5 in a row, and then they win the game. That doesn't mean anything. It's typical Jets. But the Dolphins are in the playoffs with a win, and the Patriots loss, which is probably likely at Buffalo, even though Buffalo's going through a lot. I think they'll probably eke out a close win in that game. So, I don't know. Miami, this is a weird team. 3-0, 3-3, 8-3, now 8-8. Just like the Jets, a lot of ups and downs. But I'm going with the team at home that has something to play for. To me, it's a toss-up game. I have I don't have a great feel for this game, but Miami has something to play for. The Jets, who knows what to make of the Jets? I mean, I thought they were going to beat Seattle, and they didn't even show up. So I'll take the Dolphins in a must-win game.
Yeah, I'm with you in the sense that I don't really have a great feel for it, but the reason why I'm going to take the Jets here is kind of something that you hinted at. Like, this game doesn't matter at all, and that would just totally makes sense. After you fall off a cliff, you lose 5 straight games, you're finally eliminated for the playoffs. You lose when a lot of people are probably rooting for you to or win rather, but a lot of people are probably rooting for you to lose to improve your draft stock at this point now that you're out, and then get a semi-meaningless win at the end of the year. I guess knocking out the Dolphins could be a silver lining. There's still an outside chance that the Steelers could get into the playoffs, which more on them in a little bit here with these picks. But I'm going to reluctantly take the Jets. I wouldn't be shocked if the Dolphins won this game, but I just, that would be so Jets to win in this fashion. And then number 2, Skylar Thompson looked terrible when he played against the Jets the first time, and he didn't look great against New England this past week. I think the Jets defense keeps it a low-scoring, ugly, sloppy, like 16-9 win for the Jets here.
Okay.
As for the other New York local, the Giants are taking on the Eagles. The Eagles are big favorites, -14 in this one. And what's your feel on this?
Yeah, I went back and forth in this game, but I think I'm going to lay the points. I just don't see the Giants playing their starters more than one series, and maybe not at all. They're locked into the 6th seed, and hopefully for Giants fans, you hope San Francisco wins this week so you get to go to Minnesota, and the Giants can win that game in the wild card round. But I just don't see the Giants playing their starters for more than one series. So are they going to score 10 points? Are they going to score 13 points? So Jalen Hurts, if he's playing, and I think he's the most valuable player based on the last 2 weeks. I mean, if you really take the awards most valuable to heart, I think he's the clear MVP this year. I know Mahomes had a great statistical year, but to me, KC isn't a dominant team, and Burrow and Allen, I guess, have a shot too. But I think Jalen Hurts is the MVP, and there's just a different team when he plays. And he's going to play, and I got burned by the Eagles last week. They were my best bet. They were your bonus pick. You got burned too. Yep. But I don't know. 14 is a lot. If they win by 13, so be it. But I just feel like this is like a 27-10 kind of game, 34-10. I just don't see the Giants putting up points. Like, why would they risk, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley are basically the whole team. So why would they risk them getting hurt in tune up to the playoffs. So I'm not even sure they're going to play. So 14 is a huge number, and if they were playing, I think that it'd be a different story. But I don't think the spread would be that high. But I'm just going to lay the number, and hopefully the Eagles get back on track with Hurts.
Yeah, there you go. I completely understand where you're coming from on this one. The Giants don't really have much to play for because they're locked into their spot. I am going to take them plus 14 because that number just feels a little bit too big. The Eagles have a lot to play for, but I don't know what they're going to or how much they're going to really push Hurts in this one and potentially risk another injury there. I think it'll be relatively close, not a one-score game, but maybe a 10-point win. 24-14, something like that. I just don't think this is going to turn into a blowout. Obviously, it could. The Eagles are a great team, and as you said, the Giants don't have a ton to play for, but I'm kind of worried about that with Hurts coming back this week. I don't know how much they're going to push him and push these starters. Again, I know that there's still a lot on the line for them, but that's still a big risk. So I think the Giants do enough to keep it close or relatively close within 2 scores, but this is another one. Both New York local teams, I don't have a really great feel for either of these 2 games.
Yeah.
We're going to go to the game of the week. This one is pretty meaningful with the Jaguars and the Titans. The Jaguars are 6-point favorites here. Who do you like?
Yeah, when I first thought about this week, I considered the Jaguars being my lock of the week, but I've lost 8 straight best bets, and then reading some other people's picks, other guys who do it, around the country, and it's having some time to marinate. I think the Jaguars are going to win, but the number just seems too high to me. This is like a new position, a new spot for the Jaguars. They're never big favorites, and I think they're 0-3 this year as favorites. So something about it, just 6 points. It just seems. Listen, the way they're playing, they beat Tennessee 36-22 a few weeks ago. Tennessee has lost 6 in a row. I have no confidence in them to win this game, but if they win, would you really be shocked? Mike Vrabel's team, they got Derrick Henry. If he has a huge game. They've won these kind of games before. They're a playoff tested team. They're starting Joshua Dobbs, only his second career NFL start, so that does scare me. But he didn't play that poorly against the Cowboys, and they lost 27-13. But a couple of plays go their way. It could have been a closer game. It was close for I think 2-3 quarters basically. And I just think this is a tough, not tough spot, but just like a new territory for the Jaguars. So I don't think they're going to come in and just blow them out. It's a primetime game. The whole country will be watching. And there's so much at stake here, and I don't know. I think that I have believed in Mike Vrabel's team to be ready. They've had extra time to prepare. They play Thursday night, and I just think that they'll have a game plan where they keep this in the low 20s, 23-20 kind of game. I think the Jaguars win, but I don't think it's a blowout. And you said it's only 6. I thought it was 6.5. It went down.
Yeah, it must have just went down. Yeah,
I just think 6 points is too much with so much on the line. I think Titans are a battle-tested team, and they'll find a way to keep this close. So I'll take the points.
Yeah, in this one, I'm going to take the Jaguars here. So we're 3 for 3 with different picks, actually, which is kind of rare for us. Usually we're on the same page a lot. But the reason why I like Jacksonville in this game, obviously, the Tennessee starting Dobbs, and they've really struggled on offense during this losing streak. They 16, 10, 22, 14, 14, 13 points. They haven't scored over 14 points in 3 straight weeks. And Jacksonville, on the other hand, their offense is really getting in gear. Over this, hot streak with 4 straight wins, they scored 36, 40, 19, and then 31 again. I think they get up into the high 20s. I don't know if they're going to get, over 30 again for another game here at the end of the year. But I don't trust Tennessee to be able to score enough to cover this number. I think it's maybe 27-14, something like that. Another poor offensive performance. Don't know how healthy Derrick Henry is. He hasn't really done a ton over the last few weeks. So I think that it's going to be a tough spot for that team, starting really their third string quarterback. They don't have a quarterback with Tannehill banged up. So I think it's a tough spot for them. I think the Jags get it done. They're hitting their hot streak. Doug Peterson's a great coach. I think they find a way.
Okay.
How about a best bet? What's one that jumps out to you this week?
All right. Speaking of great coaches, someone we talk about on the show often, Mike Tomlin, the Steelers. I'm going to go with the Steelers' best bet, minus 2.5. Just like last year, they win and they need help to get in. Last year they got in thanks to the Jaguars beating the Colts. I should reference that too. It just shows you that anything can happen. Week 18, everyone thought the Colts were going to win that game last year. They were big favorites and they lost. We got crushed at Jacksonville. But back to the Steelers. 8-8. They won 3 in a row. The last 2 comeback wins, late touchdown drives to beat the Raiders and the Ravens. I think they're going to win this game the same kind of way. 3-point game. They're 2.5 favorites, right? So they only need to win by 3. And the Browns, such a weird team to figure out. The Browns, can totally see them being up to play. Spoiler here against a rival. But I said a couple weeks ago in my column that I'm picking the Steelers every week until Mike Tomlin officially has his first losing season, and still hasn't happened yet. He's 8-8. I think they win 9-8. But I'm not sure if they get in. I think the Dolphins beat the Jets and the Patriots lose. I think the Dolphins get the last spot. But I'd not be shocked if the Steelers get in. It'd be a great story. And they played earlier this year, Thursday night game that was close, and then Cleveland pulled away. They won 29-17. But T.J. Watt did not play in that game. The Steelers are 7-2 when Watt plays, 1-6 without him. So he's a huge difference maker. And I think the Steelers at home with so much on the line, they could be actually. I forgot about that. They could be out of it, right? Like if the Dolphins win and Pats lose,
yeah,
they'd be out of it by the time the game starts. But even then, I still feel like they'll be up to be the division rival. And you got to think the players know about Tomlin's streak of never having a losing season. So I think that they'd be motivated to get into 9-8, even if the players are out of the question. So it's a small number. I think it'll be a close game, maybe like 2017, 23-20. But I think the Steelers to beat the Browns.
Yeah, I like the Steelers a lot this week. And as you mentioned, Tomlin's just unbelievable having the team where it is. I think they get the job done against the Browns. The team that I'm going to go with here for my best bet is a team that haven't given a ton of credit to, a team that I normally don't love to pick, and that's the Minnesota Vikings, -7.5. But the Chicago Bears have gotten blown out a ton this year. They're also not going to be playing Justin Fields in this one. So I really don't know what to make of what their offense is going to look like. They are in the mix to continue their tank, and they still have an outside chance for the number 1 pick. Houston's another team that's obviously in the driver's seat for it, but Chicago's right there. I think they want no shot in this one. Minnesota still has they still want to win these games here. They're still playing for something in the playoffs, want to get into the playoffs going hot. I think they take care of business. I don't think this one's very close without Justin Fields. So laying 7.5 doesn't really scare me too much with the Vikings this week. Yeah,
I'm taking them too because Fields isn't playing, but I don't know. 7.5 scares me a little bit, but I'm still going to take Minnesota.
All right. How about an underdog for you, Joe?
Yeah, not too many jump out to me, but one game I took this team last week and I overplayed my hand. I guess I thought they'd be up for this whole LA battle, but they got blown out by the Chargers. I'm going with the Rams here, +6.5. Defending Super Bowl champs, their last game of the year in an awful, disappointing, injury-riddled season. But I think they'll be up for this game at Seattle. Seattle needs to win and have Detroit beat Green Bay to get in. So I don't think Sean McVay doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who's going to be lay down and let Pete Carroll and division rival just walk into the playoffs or walk closer to the playoffs. So I think the Rams are going to be in this game. Seattle, even though they blew out the Jets, I don't think they're that great. Their defense stinks, and I think the Rams will be up for this game. Last game of the season, I can see McVay rallying the troops. Baker Mayfield auditioning for a job. I think it'll be close. A couple weeks ago, Seattle needed a late touchdown to escape LA, 27-23 on the road. They were I think 8-9 point favorites in that game. They barely won. So I think these NFC West games are usually close when teams are healthy. The Rams aren't fully healthy, but I think they'll be up for this game. I think it'll be close. Similar score. I'll go same score, 27-23. Seattle wins, but the Rams keep it close and cover.
Okay. There you go. For my underdog, I'm going to go with the Raiders +9.5. I was surprised with Jarrett Stidham's performance last week. I think he came in and played really well, and they kept that game close against the 49ers. That might have been my best bet last week, I think. I was confident that the 49ers are going to run all over them, and the Raiders were feisty, and I think you get a similar situation this week. Kansas City's -9.5 in this game. Obviously, they still have a lot to play for with seeding, but these games usually tend to be very close. For whatever reason, when these two teams play, they play a tight one. I think Mahomes gets it done, and I think they win, but I think it's going to be a close game. I don't love picking the Chiefs with getting a big number, too. That's usually something that I go against, and this time I'm going to do that with the Raiders, who surprised me last week. I think that continues over into Week 18.
Yeah, I'm taking the Raiders too. I'm been getting burned by Kansas City the last few weeks with the big spreads. And the Raiders should have beaten them. I remember earlier in the year, week 5, Monday night, they were 17-0. They lost by 1. That game with the crazy play with the Chris Jones second car, they overturned it. But yeah, I agree. I think there's too many points.
Agree. So how about a bonus? What jumps out?
Yeah, I'm going with the team that's has the winning in situation. Sunday night, the Packers. 4.5. I can see the Lions keeping it close to 3/4. You know, Dan Campbell gets the most out of these guys. They're a well-coached team. They got a lot of playmakers, but I don't really trust Jared Goff in cold weather. We've seen the numbers before, and the Lions beat the Packers earlier this year, 15-9. But Rodgers had 3 interceptions in that game. 2 of them were on the goal line, I think. So it was a fluky game, and I don't know. The Packers have won 4 in a row. They're finally getting things together. It's so surprising that they have a shot to get in because they've been bad all year. But I feel like I've seen this movie before. You know, Aaron Rodgers at home against the Lions in a must-win spot. He doesn't lose these games, and he's won, I think, 20 straight December games. So I think they get in, get the 7th seed, and they go get crushed at San Francisco. I'll take the Packers minus 4.5. Maybe like a 27-20 kind of game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking the Packers as my bonus as well for the same reason. We differed on the first 3, so I don't feel as bad taking the same bonus as you minus 4.5. But this feels like a great spot for them. Detroit's been a really nice story this year, and they got hot, and their offense is a ton of fun. They beat them once already in the year, but how could you take the Lions against Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay in the final week of the year? This team they get it done. They looked like they were dead earlier in the year. I still don't think they're that great of a team, but they're going to find a way to back into the playoffs. And as you said, they always think against the 49ers. They're going to get smoked by the 49ers in the wild card round. But I just don't see how you could feel comfortable taking the Lions in this one on the road in Green Bay with Goff, who struggles in the cold. Everything to me screams Packers, which probably with our luck, Joe, it's going to end up being the Lions in this one. But I don't know. To me, the Packers just seems like the obvious choice, so I'm going to ride with them as well.
Yeah, real fast. Do you think that I was talking about my wife was asking about like when can they when they can play that game? We were talking about the whole situation, and she's like, "Is there a week? It's a week in between the Super Bowl." So I had the same thought. Like, what they should do, in my opinion, is play these Week 18 games, and then next week there's basically no games except for the Bengals Bills, and then the wild card weekend starts in 2 weeks. Do you agree with that? And then they get rid of the in my opinion, you don't need a bye week between the championship weeks and the Super Bowl. To me, it's a waste. So, I mean, I feel like they have to play that game, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably the best way that you could handle it. I don't know how you aren't playing the game with what else is on the line in the playoff spot. So I agree. I think that's probably the best way. You slide everything else back. Forget about the Pro Bowl week before the Super Bowl or whatever.
Well, there was no game anyway. There was no Pro Bowl game anyway.
Yeah, that's true. It was just going to be a skills competition anyway. So yeah, I think that's.
They can still do that after. They can do the week after. Yeah. Another idea is they could do it. Considering the aftermath of the shockwaves sent to the NFL, seeing everything that happened, they could postpone this week until next week and have the Bills and Bengals play this week. But I don't think they're going to do that. Obviously, it's too late for that.
Yeah, no doubt. But I think that's what you just mentioned with pushing the playoffs back and just having that standalone game in between. I think that's probably the one that makes the most sense to me. So I'm with you.
They got to do that. They got to, because it's not fair to have the Bills or Bengals go to Kansas City when they didn't play that game.
Exactly. So they got to figure it out somehow. But to run through these real quick, Jets, Dolphins. I'm on the Jets -1. Joe's on Dolphins +1. Giants and Eagles, big number. Joe is taking the Eagles -14. I'm going to take the Giants +14. Game of the week, Jags and Titans. I like the Jaguars -6. Joe is on the Titans +6. My best bet, I'm going Vikings -7.5. And Joe is going Steelers -2.5. Underdog, Joe is back on the Rams +6.5. Underdog for me, I'm going to say the Raiders +9.5 against the Chiefs. And we are both going Green Bay -4.5 for our bonus. Joe, thank you for joining me as always. Good luck this week, and we'll talk again soon.
I'm at next week, so maybe the week after playoffs. Thanks a lot.